This video is going to be a lot different to the usual videos you're going to find on this channel. It's still going to be Call of the Wild, but this time we're going to be talking Call of the Wild. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button though for more daily Call of the Wild content. With Te Avaroa just around the corner for the PlayStation 4 guys as well, so everybody now should be able to be on the same playing field with the bug updates and the new map coming out. Well, sorta new map, right? It's been out since December for PC. What's next for Call of the Wild? I'd love to know your thoughts of what you want to see next, where you think it would make sense for the game to go, and I'm gonna be trying to share my ideas and my thoughts about it as well in this video. Obviously, we're gonna have a lot of people complaining about the bug fixes and such. I'm sure they're working on them, and they have been doing quite a good job lately of trying to sort out some of the really big bugs. At least the multiplayer features has been a lot better recently since the patch of Te Avaroa, at least on PC. And just don't even mind my shooting here, because I really don't want to focus on that in this video right here. But for me, what was so good about Te Avaroa wasn't the map itself. It was all the updates around the map. The bug fixes, especially the multiplayer bug fixes, has been a big thing for me. Having had basically no issues with disappearing tracks and such has been a godsend. As a guy who loves to play a lot of random multiplayer games, it's just nice to not have to worry about losing your trophies for that. Of course, the multiplayer experience isn't flawless yet, but it's definitely coming towards something way better than it has been for a long time, and I want to give EW credit for that. Of course, we do still have the occasional server where you'll meet a hacker, or you might even meet a completely modded map where you are basically surrounded by diamonds or rares. If you want to do that kind of stuff with the game, I'm not one to tell you not to do whatever. You can do what you want. I don't give a damn, as long as you don't put it into multiplayer for everyone else to just randomly stumble upon it and have no idea what's going on. So if you're one of those guys, just keep it to yourself, please. What about this guy that we completely obliterated then? Yeah, such a small meal. But as long as we have no working leaderboards and such in this game, I really don't care what you guys do with your maps and such. I mean, there is nothing to show for it anyway. However, if they are to bring back competitions, and I surely hope they're gonna go down that route at some point. I know it's gonna be super hard because it does require some kind of anti-cheating software detection thing. I don't know anything about game development and such, but for it to be fair, especially when we know that there is hackers in the game, that is something that needs to be sorted out at some point. And I don't know what they can do, but bringing the competitions from Classic would be such a monumental thing for the game, at least in my experience. So you actually get to compete against the other people, because right now the only one you're really competing against is yourself, which is fine. The game is geared towards that as well, but being able to actually have working leaderboards where you can go, even if it's only with your friends list. We could have a global leaderboard, we could have seasonal leaderboards as we have in Classic as well, but even if it was just your friends list, or let's say you could join a community group either on the Xbox, the PS4, or on Steam, and be like, hey guys, let's see who's gonna get the best things. I know that there's different ways of trying to get that, get around that as well. But if we could get that, that would be one of the biggest things for me. Obviously, I'll never say no to any kind of new content, being it new maps, being it new guns, being it new features and such, as long as they don't mess with our trophies and our existing stuff. I mean, we've all heard people who've lost their trophy lodges and such, and it's very, very, very bad if that comes to be a thing again. I haven't heard about it recently though, so that is also a good thing compared to what it was like a year ago, where you were afraid of every update because there was a legit chance you'd lose all your trophies, and that's just not something you should ever worry about in a game like this, where the only thing that really matters is getting the trophies and rares. Alright, he's just gonna shrug it off and run off into the sunset apparently. Try to see if we can actually get him down. Oh, dang it. But in terms of new maps, where do I hope the game goes in 2021? I certainly hope that they're looking towards making a second African reserve. And I pray that they're gonna be willing to take a chance and actually put in some of the really big game animals. I would love to see elephants and rhinos, and I know there's this whole thing about poaching, and there's this thing about ivory, and you know, but to be the best hunting game out there, I really do believe that they have to offer the things that everyone wants to see. And I don't think the majority of people would not go crazy over seeing a elephant on a Vohonga-like map or something like that. I do get that there could be some issues with some animal rights groups and yada yada yada, but giving me that thing about, well, they don't want to put in endangered animals, well, that's BS, because we have the European bison. The European bison, to my knowledge, is pretty much almost extinct, right? So that's definitely not the case. Maybe it's because they don't want to put their hand right into a beehive, but I just think that there is such a big gain from getting those kind of animals, and we've seen hunting games have them before. I don't remember it being a big deal. I mean, we even have polar bears in Classic as well. Alternatively, if we're not looking towards getting a second African reserve anytime soon, then getting on to a Texas game ranch kind of reserve where you could have like animals from all over the world and just have that set up to be a big thing as well could be very interesting. But obviously, my number one would definitely be a second African reserve with more of the big game animals. Potentially having like eland, sable, even maybe greater kudu and such would be amazing. I mean, I know that this sounds crazy, but I would love to hunt hyenas. I would love to be running around late at night and listening to the hyenas, well, basically laughing. I think that could be a super cool addition to the game as well. In terms of weapons and such, I know that there's a lot of people who care a lot about those kind of things. I'm not a big gun guy in general, but I really wouldn't mind seeing some competition to the Solikin / to the 243 categories. Would it be by dropping down the 6.5 and the 270 down to be a 3-7 class weapon? Or would it be introducing something where you will have a direct competitor to the 243 in the 224 range, where we currently don't really have anything? We have the 30-30, or yeah, I mean, you could use a bow or something like that. But in general, we don't really have much competition to the 243, which I think is a little bit odd, especially that being the starter gun and such as well. But a 17 HMR would definitely be something that could work for small game to give the 22 LR a bit of competition as well, and you could mix it, so maybe even make it able to shoot class 2 animals as well, because that would open up for the Solikin to be way more viable in most of the loadouts, because then you don't need the 243 to take care of the level 2 animals. Another really big thing, obviously for me, could be actually getting trophy shots, and I think the trophy shots from Classic would be a super nice addition to the game, where you can actually get some really cool pictures rather than just taking a picture of your animal when it's dead. But being able to get those kind of things where you can drag them around, place them and make them look really good. And then just imagine if you were going to be able to display your trophy shots in your current trophy lodges on the wall. That would just be insane. I would love that. That would probably mean more to me than most of the animals in there. Be able to just display it, have it set out in a cool fashion and such, and then have random pictures around in the entire trophy lodge. Maybe more customizability of the trophy lodge as well, but I don't know how easy that would be to do. But I mean, there is certain plaques that I'm running out of way faster than some of the others, and especially with the ground stands, there's just some of them where you'll be like, okay, well, that's definitely something that we're not gonna get too many of, which is a bit of a shame, because it kind of forces you to at least have multiple trophy lodges, and I suppose that's cool as well. But if you have like your favorite trophies all standing on the enormous trophy stand, then there's just only so much you can do, because there is only, what, 4 of them in the... there might actually be 6, I don't remember, of them in the Saseka Safari Lodge. But you're just very limited, and it would just be nice to be able to, like, okay, I want to have a big stand here where there is currently a small one, and then just have them be like, okay, I'll give up 2 small ones for 1 big one, or something like that. I don't know how easy that would be to do. And of course, Of course, I would love to see more multi-mounts. I feel it's a shame that we don't have more multi-mounts. I also get why it's not a huge priority for the team behind the Call of the Wild to focus on making those. But the multi-mounts might actually be what the hell, be some of my favorite features in the game as it is. And I would just love to see more. And working on that, getting that specific multi-mount where you want the melanistic mountain lion fighting the albino elk or something like that, where you set out with a very specific idea of what you want, is just, it keeps me going a lot. And obviously we can talk about horses and dogs as much as we want as well. Would horses make sense? Maybe. Do I think we need horses? Definitely not. I don't use the ATVs, first of all, because they're very, very loud. So the only thing I use the ATVs for is whenever we have a new map, I need to go around and unlock everything, or if I'm having an ATV race with my friends. Horses, I think it would be the same thing, because your character actually runs quite fast. You're able to cover quite a bit of distance in not really a lot of time, and you don't make too much noise. And having... Basically, if you place your tents somewhat strategically around the map, you can basically get to anywhere within a minute or two of walking. And I don't feel like having them to invest in making horses would be something that would change that. The dogs, I would love dogs, but I wouldn't love dogs for the reason of having them be retrievers or sniffers to go and be a scent hound to track down the wounded animals and such, because I feel like the game as it is actually quite easy when it comes to tracking down animals, even when I can't hit anything. I should just talk, honestly, because this just, what the hell, isn't really doing anything good. The reason I would love to have a dog would be as a companion, as something that just running around you, where you can look down upon and be like, hey, you're here. It's the same reason I use them in Classic. I do use the retrievers in Classic for the duck and, well, the duck hunting mainly, because once they land in the deep water, hey, you can't get your duck if you don't have a retriever. But the way that the duck hunting and such, if anything falls into the water, it's going to float towards you in Call of the Wild. I just don't see why a dog would do anything better to that in that regard. So for them to develop a mechanic for dogs to go and retrieve animals, I just don't think it would be worth it. Would it be nice? For sure. But I don't know. Is it going to be worth the investment rather than getting us a new reserve, new guns, or new animals? I don't think so. However, this video is meant to be a way to start a discussion where I would love to know where you guys are at with the game. I know a lot of you might be pissed about the console releases being so delayed compared to the PS release, and I'm with you. I really hate to see stuff like that happens. I don't want to blame it on Sony. I don't want to blame it on Microsoft. I don't want to blame it on EW. I don't want to put a blame anywhere, but something somewhere is just not working as it's supposed to. I would love to see joint releases. Would that be keeping PC from getting a release for a month or two? Well, I think it would be worth it. Just don't start talking about the release until the release is actually ready on the consoles as well, and have that mutual joint release. I think that could be something that would create a lot of hype, and a lot of people would be super excited to be like, hey, we're going to go out here and beat the PC players. We're going to go out here and beat the Xbox players, and have that stuff going. There's got to be some business decisions behind it, and I don't want to get into it too much, but there's got to be ways that they can figure stuff like that out as well, I feel. And one of the things that I've heard the Xbox community be really happy about is the introduction of auto run on the Xbox, and stuff like that is probably some of the biggest quality of life stuff updates that they can actually do to the game, and it's gonna make the already existing player base much happier than getting some kind of new feature or something that we really wouldn't care about in the first place. And one thing for me that would make everything so much easier, and this would be the biggest quality of life update for me, is once you go to the menu, you want to be jumping on a multiplayer server. Could we not please right here or right here have something indicating what time it is in game? Because if I just join a random server, freaking 5 out of 10 times I end up during nighttime or some weird time where I definitely don't want to be hunting. If EW found out a way to just put what time it is on the server in the menu, it would make things so much better for someone like me. I mean, right here, I'm actually lucky. I dumped right into Blacktail and Rosewald drinking time, so it's not too bad. But you guys have tried it, and I have, to my knowledge, then Xbox and PS4 don't even have the option to choose the lobbies they want to jump into, but something like that would be a huge quality of life improvement to me. I don't want to make this video too long, and I think it's already way too long, but I would love to hear your ideas and what you want to see. Where do you want to see Call of the Wild going in 2021? Maybe even further down the line. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little picking my brain about Call of the Wild and trying to figure out what would be amazing to see. I hope you get the idea of this video, and I hope you want to engage in the community by taking your time to write some nice comments and some thoughts down below. So thank you guys so very much for watching.